Okay, I'm talking about CO2 gun seals. One of the problems with companies, for instance, Gammo, many years ago, I wrote them and I sent some money for some seals. But for some reason, these companies that make these CO2 guns don't like sending people seals. So, and that's a big problem because the seal that goes in here is probably 1/10 of 1 cent in cost, in actual cost. So what I decided to do for some of you that might get frustrated about leaky seals for your CO2 is I want to show you what I've done to save a little bit of money on this. Although I can get the seals now, I want to show this video for people that might not be able to afford to get seals. Might want to try this. So anyway, what you're going to need is one of these, and what you're going to do is you're going to scrape out the old seal. Going to go right down in there and scrape out the old seal. I don't know if you can see it or not on camera, but you want to go in there and scrape out that old seal there. And you can see I've already done that. Okay. And the next thing you want to do is you want to go pick up some of this 1/8 of an inch cork board material, and I'll show you what it looks like when you buy it. That's a lot of material there. So here's your cork board material. And what you want to do is you want to make a stamper and have a board. So here would be like the board. And then here's the stamper. I want to show you guys how I made it. What you do with the stamper is you want to make sure it's about the same or close diameter to your CO2 head there. What you want to do is you want to bevel it. So what I did is I took this out in the garage and I sanded it at a 45-degree angle here, and what that does is that gives the edge here, gives it a real sharp feel to it, and that's what's actually going to cut through. And then the top part you just leave plain. This came out of a toilet pipe that's in the back of your toilet. That's all it is. And now that the camera focused in, you can see that bevel a little better. So you sand it like this at a 45-degree angle till you get that nice little sharp edge there. So anyway, if you're in the hardware store and you see them flexible copper pipes that go in the back of your toilet, this is what this is, and I just cut off a little section. And then what you want to do, you want to take a rubber hammer or whatever you have, and you want to stamp out a circle. Or you can use the scissors. It might be a little longer to do it that way. I'm going to stamp out a circle, and I'll show you what. Now that that's out of the way, I'm going to show you what the seal looks like when you're done. And you simply want to take the new seal, and you want to poke a hole right in the center, not too big, just really small, right down in the center there. And you just go like this. You see that? So that way the piercer can get through there. That's all that's for. Okay. Okay, now that that's out of the way, I wanted to show you guys how I put it in. So now that it's clean out there, you just go like this. And then get some kind of a stick or something. Okay. Now what'll happen is the piercer will end up showing as soon as you got pressure on this. And maybe I should show you right now just to prove that it works. But before I do that, I wanted to explain something. Many years ago, cork was used for gaskets and it does just fine. However, if you're using this corkboard cork, this is a little different. You will get 60 shots still, and you will be able to use the gun for a few hours. But if you let it sit overnight, like I did with this gun, it might leak out, but at least you got your 60 shots. And I've got 60 pellets right here. Typically what I do is I count up 60 pellets, and then I place it next to a CO2. And that's how I know when my CO2 is just about out, is I count my shots. So if you pre-count your shots and you have these 60 right here, it's a no-brainer. You just shoot these and then change your CO2. It's that easy. So that's one trick you can use to know when the CO2's out. And of course that would be single shot, since the P23 is a tip-up barrel. But you can see how that cutter works. That's a homemade cutter. Look at how round that is. Just a homemade cutter. So anyway, let me show you that it works here, just so. I like to back everything up with evidence video. So I want to show you that works. And then I'm going to fire it right in front of you. Okay. And what you could do, you guys, if you wanted to, you could put some of that rubberized silicone. You could take your finger and kind of rub it on here, or rub it on the top and the bottom of like one of these homemade seals that you made. You could do that too. But anyway, I've loaded it and I'm going to put it up to camera so you can hear it. Okay. Not leaking. Okay, watch. I'm going to probably empty the CO2 for you, just to prove to you that cork works. Now, when you're tightening this up, you want to make sure the best way to load a seal, or the best way to put that seal on, like I said, is with that stick. But the best way for using your CO2 now is you keep turning this and you put it up to your ear and you make sure that there's no hiss or anything. That's one of the best ways to do it. And when you hear the hiss, typically it's a half to 3/4 of a turn. You don't want to turn it too much. And that's one of the reasons why the original seals go bad, is people turn it too much. But as soon as you hear the hissing, turn it a 1/4 turn, put it up to your ear, and if it hisses just a little bit more, then turn it. Just turn it a little bit more. That's all you gotta do. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna fire this thing. Okay, there's 60 shots. 60 shots, still not leaking. I'm gonna let it pause a little bit, let it build up pressure. One of the reasons why I like single shots is, or the P23, is it's a tap feeder, so a tap feeder. So you can tap feed your pellets up here, and then you'll see my other videos on the P23. I made quite a few. And then you got the internal magazine right here for the BBs, so you don't have to worry about screwing up magazines. So I think the internal ones are much better than the drop-free magazines. They last longer. And this thing I've had, oh gosh, maybe 15 years. So this P23, when they first came out, I bought this. So I've had this for a long time. It still works. Very little can go wrong with the P23. Very little. The only thing that could go wrong is when you're rapid firing, if you feel something that isn't right, you don't want to pull the trigger really hard. You want to be easy on the trigger and then get that round out of there if it's not perfectly round. You don't want to fire Crosman BBs in this. You want to fire Daisy BBs, or even better, I would buy Avanti BBs on PyramidAir.com's website. That's what I would do. And what I did with the sights on this thing is I used some acrylic. Let's see if I can get the camera to zoom in properly on that. I used some acrylic, and what I did is you could take like a toothpick or something like this, put a little paint on the end of this, and then carefully dab it, and you can color your sights. And acrylic is very easy to come off. You can just scrape this off with your fingernail and the whole piece comes off, so you don't have to rub on it or anything. So that's one of the reasons why I love acrylic paints. You can get that at the craft store. And by the way, this board stuff, or this cork board stuff, you can get this at the craft store. Right at Michael's. You can go on michaels.com, or you could go into a craft store and ask the ladies if they got some of this board stuff here. Or you can find this cork board stuff possibly at Walmart, or I've seen them at Fleet Farm. I've seen them in a lot of different stores. Any office supply store might have cork maybe. So that helps a lot. Okay, so I think I'm done with this video, but one more thing I wanted to remind you guys of is this is what I would do. However many shots, even if it's airsoft, however many shots you have, just count them up like this. Count them up, 60, whatever shots you want to get out of the gun. Put these in your pocket or whatever. Go do some shooting. When the pellets are done, just change the CO2 cartridge out. That's all you have to do. So if you want to see other videos on the P23, you just go into my click on my videos on my main page and scroll down. I have a lot of videos, so you'll have to look for it. But anyway, this is kind of like the Sig Sauer P232. It's really accurate. If you adjust some sights properly, you can really get out there and pop some cans with this thing. So it starts to drop after about 20 yards, 25 yards. The pellets start to drop. The Crosman 7.4 pointed pellets, but you could always put in some Beeman Echo FTS pellets. Some are 5.56 grain. And you could use them. You could get a little more flatter shooting, so it might get out there and reach a little more. It won't have as much energy, but at least you could hit targets maybe at longer range, because the pellets are light, so they're not going to drop. They're going to shoot straight. So, all right. Well, thank you for watching. And if you have any questions about this, let me know. Thank you.